Today I have a guest who's doing something for the men, and I would let him speak more about it. And Tahir, welcome on the show.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
Tahir, if you could also explain us, what you do, and generally the background, like where you work, what you work as, and the second thing, what you do for the men society. I'm curious to know,
Yeah.
and it's a new thing, and I always talk about mental health and also helping men express their emotions. So I came across what you do, and I would be interested to know more about it.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Thanks for having me here.
My pleasure.
Yeah, so I studied in my more classical path. I studied in software engineering. So officially I've been doing that for about 10 years.
Okay.
But the thing is with the computers, it's very much mental, right? And
Yeah.
I would feel very much disembodied, not in my emotions, not in my feeling, not in my present. I spent many years like this. So that's what I do in person right now. I'm working at McGill in cybersecurity, which is very cool. But at the same time, I've been in men's work, which is what I do. Men's work. I've been in it for about 4 or 5 years now.
Oh wow.
4 or 5 years now. Yeah.
Wow.
Um,
And when you say men's work, what sort of work is it? Is it like an NGO that you run, or is it like something that you do out of passion that you just meet people and help people?
Yeah. So this one, men's work in general, what it means, it's generally it'll attract men that are conscious, that are aware, that want to develop themselves, want to like overcome their challenges, their emotions, they want to set goals, right? Like men that are aware, conscious, and they want to get somewhere. And they also want to do it in support of other men. When I have the support of my fellow men, when I'm able to share with them, when we're able to accomplish things together. This is just a general idea of what men's work.
More of a brotherhood, like
brotherhood, yeah.
and like
Yeah.
developing that sense of brotherhood and helping each other out. If I have to say, like a balance, that if you see someone struggling with something, you all come up and then try to provide solutions or try to help them in a way, and then when you need, you get the same.
Yeah, that's the idea. So yeah, I mean, you got it right on the money, which is Brotherhood. This one that I'm in, it's an organization that was founded in Vancouver.
Okay.
I'm not sure, maybe 10 years back or so. It's called the Arka Bortherhood. Used to be called Samurai Brotherhood.
Okay.
But yes, it's an organization that's been founded. Most of the groups are in Vancouver, but there's different groups throughout Canada.
Okay.
And I run the group in Montreal.
Okay, so nice. So for people probably who are looking to join your group, is it like, how do they approach you, and is there like a criteria, or is it like open to all?
So so if you want to check it out, you can go on the website Arka Bortherhood, Arka ARKA, and you can do apply. You can get an idea of what it's about.
Okay.
What the men that we're looking for. There's a few criteria of like what kind of men I look for. One of the most important things is that they have to be committed.
Okay.
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 There's a very big thing. I find it's very common nowadays for men to be a lot in the going with the flow. Yeah. You could call this also the feminine energy, which is fine in itself, but sometimes I find the men are too much into this and they have a hard time to commit to something. I'm gonna show up here every Monday for 3 hours.
Okay.
That's a commitment that we have.
Okay.
So it's not an optional thing. And it's important for us to show up in a regular way. I find it very, very common nowadays for men to be too much in their feminine, too much in the flow, and they lose their sense of commitment, they lose their sense of dedication. So this is one of the foundations of our group, is to show up. Show up.
Show up.
You commit to it and you show up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And I mean, commitment is the key, you mean, like, and what happens in those sessions, if I could ask? Like, you spend 3 hours, but what is it about? And like you said, every Monday?
Yeah, every Monday we meet 6:30 to 9:30. I've been doing that for 4 or 5 years every month.
Wow.
Yeah. And so we do many things in the group. Right now we're about almost a dozen men. And so we have a structure that we go through. First, we do some Wim Hof breathing. You must know Wim Hof. Yeah, to kind of settle in to the present moment. We do some eye gazing to like connect to the men around us.
Yeah, sorry. I find it more difficult, even like, I had this fear of looking someone into the eye before. And yeah, I stopped you just because you talked about eye gazing, and that's I think is one of the key things. I mean, if you're already working on it, like, or you guys do that, like, it's really good.
Yeah, for the eye gazing, I find it's like a really powerful way to just be present, because when we're able to be seen through our eyes, and when we're able to see the other person, there's no hiding. If I'm feeling scared, if I'm feeling anxious, angry, that's gonna show.
That's gonna show up.
And there's power to that. It's like, okay, we're really here in the moment to how we feel.
Yeah, they say, right, eyes speak a lot. So yeah, once you look someone in the eye, you actually are more connected, and you feel more of their presence and of their emotions. Yeah, thanks. And yeah, you were continuing. Sorry.
Then we do check-ins. Where are we? What are we thinking about? What are we feeling right now? Did we accomplish our goals? Because we also set goals every week, and we have a partner to do that. And if we don't accomplish our goals, then there's a little kind of punishment.
Okay.
When we started, if I didn't do my goals this week, I would have to do 15 push-ups.
Okay.
And then at some point, so many people started doing push-ups. We changed it so that if I don't do my goals, it's my partner that does the push-ups.
Okay. So now there's more accountability.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. A lot of it is accountability too.
Nice.
So we do the check-ins, and then we have a sharing period where it's really just very open, where men can share. Hey, I've been having a lot of trouble with my job. I got my heart broken. I have a huge win I want to share. That could be anything, really. And we're there to listen and to give feedback, to give encouragement, anything that comes up.
That's so beautiful, because as I started, I mean, even when we started this episode, as I said, men are not, or they're not treated in a way that they could share emotions. You're always asked to man up. You're always, maybe there's so much going on in your head, so much going on in your life, but you're not sharing. You're keeping it to yourself, and then trying to, suppress your emotions and whatnot, just because. So since you're born, okay, you're close to your family, you're close to your mother, you're close to your father. But as you grow up, you come to an age where maybe you're close to either of the parents. But after, let's say, you hit puberty, you do not have, a way to express your emotions, because you cannot go to your mother saying, okay, what you're feeling. You cannot go to your dad, because that sense of respect and if I have to say, shame comes in. And you cannot, the person cannot also go to friends, because he thinks that he might get bullied or made fun of. So there's, as the child is growing, he's starting to lose things and a comfort zone. Whereas for women, let's say, she could actually go and say it openly, at least to the mother, how she's feeling, her friends, because women have these things. But men, I mean, at one point, he's all by himself, I have to say, because he cannot share openly what he's going through, and he may have questions, he may have things that either, again, it comes back to one individual. So I appreciate firstly what you're doing, and it's like a great container that you're creating for people. And again, I would encourage this more and more, so that people would start either elsewhere, or it happens more. I mean, I would like to see it more elsewhere too, being followed.
Yeah, you made some great points, man, about sharing. I mean, you're totally right. It's like every man, every person, but we're talking about men. So every man is going through stuff and going through challenges, not feeling purposeful, heartbreak, etc. And like you said, if we keep it inside, like a lot of men do, then it's gonna be some very dysfunctional. We have a lot of repressed emotions that are gonna like come out through anger, through anxiety, through depression, many ways that it's gonna manifest itself in an unhealthy way.
Yeah.
And you're right, we're not children anymore. We cannot. Our parents, they did their job. We cannot use them like that anymore, right? So, and you have a lot of men who don't have a good men support, so they would go to their girlfriend instead and use their girlfriend as kind of their therapist. And that can be okay, but it can also cause a lot of like neediness or dependence, you know, on your romantic partner. And being able to have the support of men, of brothers who go through the same thing, are able to support you. It's tremendously valuable.
It's tremendously valuable. Yeah, as you mentioned, like, yes, I mean, you can have this partner support where you could actually go to your partner and express their emotions, but it's like, since we are in this generation where we are like, everyone's struggling, everyone's going through emotions, no one would want, I mean, what I've heard or what I've seen throughout the years, that, you know, people, like for girls, they do not want to raise a child, like a man child, like a man child, right? So they basically, okay, yes, if it's happening more and more, then that's the point of concern for them as well. Like, okay, I'm not here because I'm, you know, handling my own emotions. And yeah. So I think, again, that's where your group comes into play, and then, you know, helping other men out.
Yeah, and it's beautiful also just to see other men and what they go through.
Yeah.
I came in the group 4 years ago, and 4 or 5 years ago, and at the time where I joined, I felt very lost, and I didn't have a sense of purpose. I felt very depressed, but also felt very alone.
Okay.
You know? And then when I came, and after a couple of weeks, I got comfortable, and I shared that with the other men. I think at least half of them were like, I've been exactly.
I've been English. Yeah. Okay.
And I was like, what? I had no idea, you know. And I was able to see every man, even the men that I thought were like super cool. They had everything figured out. They're running businesses. They're doing crazy performances. Like the coolest men in my mind.
Yeah.
Being long enough with them in the group, I would see every single man go through their phases. Even the greatest in my imagination man would crash and would feel depressed and would feel like shit. And that made me see like how common it is, you know, and how we're all going
through it. Okay. Yeah. And how did you first ever come across this group?
Yeah, I was actually in Ontario. I was on a retreat, kind of like a medicine retreat.
Okay.
And it's kind of a strange thing, but I saw they had built a tent outdoors, and it's for women who were on their period. Okay. So they would go together and they would like support each other through that, you know. And it made me think, wow, like it's so common to see like spaces for women to support each other. But what about for men? And I asked the leader over there, I told him that, and he's like, oh, well, you know, there's this group in Montreal that they do something to support men. I was like, oh, really? Okay. And then I contacted the captain at the time, and I joined.
Oh, nice. And again, what was, when you joined, again, this is just, I'm curious to know, when you joined, what was your state of mind? Like, what were you expecting from the men's group? Because, okay, you've seen that tent, you've seen that, okay, there's a space for them, but let's say, as you mentioned, they were talking about periods, or like, you know, comfort zone for women. What were you expecting at that time? Like, what drive you there?
Yeah, I didn't have too many expectations, but I knew that the men were conscious and they were vulnerable. They were able to share and support each other. And that's what I had in mind. What I wanted to, my intention for the group was a lot like a selfish way, which was to kind of figure out my own purpose and get help with the thing that I'm going through. That was my initial intention, but it changed a lot, like as I entered and stayed for a long time.
Do you wanna expand more on how did it change?
Yeah, for sure. First, I think it's very common for men who come into the group to have their own reasons, like, oh, I'm missing sense of purpose. So a lot of them, they miss a sense of intimacy and connection with men. They're missing that in their life, and that's very good. I know that as I joined, and I started to get to know the men better, and I could start to see them in their like highest highs and in their lowest lows. Like there was such a strong sense of bond that developed. And slowly and surely, I started to realize that it's not just about me, you know, and it's also about the other men and about like how can I support them and like what are we creating together. So it stopped being such a selfish thing to being able to more like of a communal thing, of a co-creation, of a support, and that's what I'm really tapping into now.
Okay, nice. And how how was your experience? And you continued overall for 4 years, and you're also helping people. How, what you mentioned, there are so many common things, common points that also like it throughout different people, but it's like there are a few common points, and how do you address like, okay, this is something I already know, and this is the same solution that I would provide you, or is it like changes, and how does it work? So
yeah, it's a good question. A lot of the times we're not doing anything specific for the man. Like if a man comes and tells me I feel depressed, I want to join the group, like I'm not gonna do anything for his depression. Like we're not there to provide therapy, but at the same time, the container itself is healing. You know, the container itself, because when a man is depressed, he's going to come and he's going to share about his depression. And what is he going to get? He's going to get empathy. He's going to get people that have been there the same way. He's going to get advice. He's going to get encouragement in a very natural way. We're not forcing, but that's just what happened. And that man is going to get better.
Letting your walls down, letting your emotions flow. It's not something that, okay, this is a pill, you take it, you come to the session, I'm giving you a pill, like a antidepressant, and you feel good. No, it's just like a place where you could share your emotions, feel better, and feel nice about it, and like a place where you're actually felt heard, if I
it's a big component to feel heard and to share, but it's not the only key of it. And sometimes if a man, it's not just like a place for men to rant. We're here to support each other, to help each other get better. And that doesn't mean to always say like, oh, you're doing great. No, it doesn't mean like that. For sure, we'll be encouragement, but we'll also call each other out.
Okay.
So if a man has been doing the same thing for a whole month, if he told us, I'm going to set this goal, the first week he didn't do it, second week he didn't do it, third week he didn't do it, we're going to start to call him out. We're going to be like, hey man, I heard you say the same thing for 3 weeks. How come you haven't done it?
Nice.
Okay. And how can we help you do it? It's too hard, this goal. Fine, let's do a smaller one, but can you commit to that?
Nice.
Right? So there's a lot of that fire also. It's not just like support and holding, but when it's needed, there's also that fire to challenge each other.
Nice. I mean, yeah, it sounds more like a family thing. Like, okay, if you see someone in your family not doing good, and you take the responsibility to correct them, or like kind of, oh, okay, you're struggling with this. What is this, or what is that I could help you with? Right? And just I'm also trying to understand this, that there's so many men out there, and they're expressing their like happies, or if I have to say sad and lows, right?
Highs and
lows. Yeah, my bad. Yes, highs and lows. Is there also a sense of competition that you could feel that, oh, this person is doing something really well in life, but I'm stuck here? And you start, instead of, you came to this space to heal, but now eventually you're questioning your own existence again. The idea here is to define your own purpose, but you're seeing, oh, everyone else probably is, they're getting better or they're doing better in life, but I'm not doing. So, have you seen that also occur that, like people come, but they also now start thinking, oh, there are more better people in the room.
Yeah, it's a very good question, bro. I know I'll share about my experience joining just as a member. I felt very, very much inspired by the other men. I would come in, and then I would hear this man. He just like completed the kick-ass project. This man just went and performed opera in front of 500 people or whatever. And I was like, wow, that's such a great example of what I can be. And I would leave the group just like filled with positive energy, with motivation. So definitely, and I think that's very common. Most of the time, it becomes the energy of the others accumulates, and we all start to feel it, right?
Oh yeah.
So it's a very, very, very beautiful thing. Do some men feel competitive? Yeah, it can happen. I mean, I know I tend to feel competitive around men, and it can happen. And I think what I would suggest in that case would be to kind of lean into it. Okay, this other man did something that you're a bit jealous of. Good, do something better.
Do something better. Learn, and do it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's. I think that's the way to go.
Yeah.
And inspire. I mean, the idea also of this podcast is, as you might have heard, I always talk that there's so much inspiration around.
Yeah.
Instead of looking at your celebrities or well-established people, you see there's so much inspiration around, but we never feel it, or we fail to acknowledge it.
Yeah.
So that's, I think also from this men's circle, that if you say there are already a dozen people, you get to learn from 11 different people.
Yeah.
And and other people are also learning from you at the same time. So that's beautiful. That's there's so much of in and out, if I have to say, like that.
Yeah,
that's happening.
And I see it's becomes kind of a beautiful journey in a way, where I see the men, they join and they're much more in the receiving and like, I need help, and that's totally normal. I was there too. But with time, as they get more comfortable, they get more experience, they start to step into their own voice. And then they're the ones that start to help, and they're the ones that start to support. And in being able to play this role with each other, first I feel supported, but then I can also support. It's very empowering.
Yeah. I mean, just because you stressed on the point, or you picked up the point, I love the way you explained it, because when you're empty, you cannot give.
Yeah.
And once you start to receive, there's a natural tendency that once you receive it, you want to give it back. It's not a transaction, but you feel like, oh, I learned something. How could I help someone else? So that's I think a beautiful thing also that's happening through this circle. Because initially, as you mentioned, people would come, they're devoid of love, they're having so many questions, there's so many emotions, repressed emotions, and not to know what to do with it, and or how to deal with it. And now they know, okay, like the idea basically is where to start, right? So now you know the start point. Now you're in that path, in that journey, and now you know that, okay, this journey, I'm also learning things, and I could take other people along on this journey, and I could provide. I could be a giver, and when I'm well received.
Yeah, I mean, you learn many things in the group, and what is nice is, I'm sure you're familiar with the concept of like a mirror. Like, this person is a mirror for you. Well, this is in this group, we have a lot of mirrors, and when we're alone, like when I'm alone, if I'm like depressed or if I'm anxious, I can tend to be very easily lost, and I don't know where I am. I don't know what to do. But when we're there, other people can see that happening, and they can call it out, first of all. But also we can see that happening to other people, and like we can recognize ourselves in other people. So this is like kind of symbiotic thing happening, where I understand myself through the other person, and I understand the other person through myself.
Okay. Yeah, I actually had a song. I wrote a song in Hindi. Yeah. So the idea of the song was the same thing, to have evenings where people could express anything they're feeling, their sorrows, their sadness, their emotions, and whatnot. And the song is in, again, as I mentioned, in Hindi, but it basically has the same idea to have more and more evenings where either men or like throughout, like anyone who's going through this, have uh, are able to express their emotions freely without being judged, without being criticized, without being, thinking of, oh, how would this person think of me? Like, doesn't matter. Like, it's just my feeling, and I'm just sharing it. Doesn't matter. Like, if you have to, I mean, you don't even have to provide solutions. You just have, like, sometimes you just need a listener. So just, oh, you should have done this, or you should have done that. No, I don't need it. Like, I just want to share, and that's it.
So, are you talking about expressing your emotions through words, through sharing, or is it like a different way? Is it through like song or through?
No, I wrote a song. I have a song. Yeah, I have a song that's on YouTube, but again, it's Hindi.
Yeah, yeah. There's different ways to express emotions. There's events or places you can go to where it's very much somatic or embodied, where you're tapping into the emotion, crying, shaking, moving, screaming. That's great. That's not what we do. Okay. That's not what we do in the group. It's not purely about expressing emotions. There are emotions expressed in the shares and all that, and that's very important. And also being heard, and that's very important. But we also do workshops. We do movement. So we have about 10 minutes of movement to get in our bodies, and every meeting we have a workshop. So where it could be introspective work. I'm gonna write. Well, one very powerful thing we do is a mother share, where we talk about our mother, who she was, her story. Sometimes we do fun competitions. Sometimes we do gratitude, relational skills, to learn about ourselves, to connect with the men who do plenty of that as well.
Nice. Yeah. Nice. And is there anything else you want to expand more on those 3 hours? Because you talked about workshops, and you talked about many different things. There's something that, let's say, if people who are not even willing to attend or not able to attend, they could still, let their emotions out. Maybe let's say they're at home going through something. They could just, let's say, do you have a journaling practices? Do you have something that you could suggest them if they don't, let's say, if they cannot join out of shame, out of, oh, okay, why should I be in this men's circle or something like that? Like, if they could do something just from their place.
Yeah, it's a good question. So first, I would suggest for you to join either us or to find a similar container.
Okay.
Because I think the men who are willing to do the work at home will also be willing to do the work. And it's actually, it's more fun.
It's more fun to do, with the team,
That being said, it's not like we do work for 3 hours and then the rest of the week we just do dance or whatever. Or chill. You asked about emotions. I can answer this one. One of the biggest problems for men in the modern society is inability or unwillingness to feel emotions. Okay, and this is something that I've worked on a lot. And emotions are something that make us feel alive, make us feel connected to ourselves. They carry a lot of truth, and there's so much repression of emotion around men, whether it be anger, sadness, even joy. I know I have a hard time feeling joy. So one of the first things that I would suggest, it's very simple, but it's just to feel, just to expand your ability to feel emotions. It's like if you have a light bulb and the wattage is very low, the current is very low, then the light bulb is going to be very dim. And the experiences the light bulb have, well, they're going to be mediocre. But as you turn up your ability to have that emotional charge, then life becomes so much more powerful, becomes so much more beautiful, so much more dynamic, almost magical in a sense. So I would say start by taking 10 minutes, even 5 minutes every day. You can put on some music, just to tune in and just to feel whatever emotion you have in your body. Feel the sensations of the emotion, like if it's tension or warmth. Feel the physical sensation. And if you start entering your thoughts, let the thoughts go and go back. So it's very much like a meditation, but you focus on your
Emotions.
and feel them without judging them and allow them. And you'll be surprised if you feel the emotions. Oftentimes they're going to shift, they're going to change, and they're going to pass through. And this kind of thing is tremendously helpful.
That's a good point you brought, because I uh, always say when I'm speaking, or even I post things on Instagram or different channels, but I always say that take a pause and feel.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
yeah, this is the same thing you brought, and you explained it really well, because once I'm not aware of what's happening, I could take other emotion, like, and mix it up. Instead of frustration, okay, I could take anxiety as frustration, and anger, like mixed emotions, and I don't know how to deal with it. So once I acknowledge those feelings, or just feel it and see, okay, what's this emotion is about, I could act accordingly, instead of there are a lot of fights that happen in relationships. Sometimes you don't even know what you're fighting for, or what actual emotion you're carrying, and you mix up emotions, that okay, I am angry, but I'm showing you that I'm frustrated. Or it could be just frustration, or the other way around. So it's just that, something else, you're feeling something else, but you're showing something else. So, and also you talked about observing them objectively, like without, and that I've also, we had a episode on Vipassana.
Okay.
And that's the main pillar, that's the core pillar of meditation as well. Like, observe things objectively without judging. Just, okay, that's your emotion, you don't have to do anything about it, just feel. Like, just take a pause and feel.
Yeah. And I know if you told me this maybe 5 or 6 years ago, well, this is a waste of time. Why would I feel emotions, etc.? But it's really the effect it has is profound.
Yeah.
Because emotions are the way you connect with life.
Yeah.
Right? There's other ways, but this is one of the biggest ways you connect with life. And this enhances your ability to feel connected with life, to feel present, to be aware. Just, I mean, we only have one life, right?
Yeah.
Depending what you believe, but being able to intensify and enhance the experience of life itself, and to dive into it more fully, it's one of the most worthwhile things.
Most worthwhile things, yeah. And like, that's again a good point you brought about those emotions, right? And like, not everyone is as you were like 5 years ago.
Yeah.
People would still think the same, that okay, what do you talk about, take a pause and feel. No, I don't feel anything, how do I concentrate, how do I focus? Do you have a go through, or a go to thing, that okay, if you're not able to identify emotions, maybe do this, maybe do that?
I can provide a few things. You're talking about feeling numb or feeling confused.
No, yeah, I mean, so let's say I'm someone who does not have an idea, how do I identify those emotions? I take a pause, I close my eyes, but what am I feeling? What am I doing?
Yeah, to be honest, this happens to me often sometimes,
Like,
where I feel it's very jumbled and I'm not sure what's happening. I think, first of all, it's normal. Second of all, I found to be embodied really helps with emotions. So, for example, going on a run, if I start to run 5, 10, 15 minutes, I start to feel all these different emotions, and they kind of like go through my body by themselves. and then at the end of 15 minutes, suddenly I'm a lot more clear what I'm feeling. You can do other things, like one way, for example, if to like jump and shake, right? Like to put on some kind of like drums or some music. Like jump and like shake, and make some noise also. Like even if it sounds dumb, being able to express what you're feeling through a voice on the nervous system is very powerful. It's very, first of all, calming, and now the emotion is going to start to intensify. And now that I'm moving, I'm shaking, I'm running, I'm making some noise, now I start to feel it more and more, and I can understand what's happening better.
Okay, yeah, I think that's a good start. But I always feel like, when people ask me, I cannot feel, or I cannot identify emotions. I believe it comes by practice. The more you start to feel, let's say, as you said, right, start by 5 minutes. Maybe you start doing 5 minutes every day, and then increase it like 10 minutes, 15, 20. The more you spend time with yourself, the more you know, okay, this is me, this is part of me, this part of me is something else, and this is an emotion that probably I was not aware of. And you don't have to actually go elsewhere for a therapy or therapist. Your body is your own therapy, like your own therapist, and you are your own therapist, right? So, like, the more you acknowledge your emotions, the more you feel your emotions.
Yeah, for sure. And the when you get good at what you're saying, just feeling emotions, it just becomes a state of being, And this is, to me, I see it as kind of a life's work, but to be able to just be fully present with what I'm feeling, where I'm at all moments of my day, and to act from there. It's powerful. It's very beautiful. I had a kind of metaphor in my mind when I started to do this emotional work, which is not exactly men's work, but it's related. I could see inside myself, I could see it as kind of, this like soil, but it was like dry and cracked, and there was maybe like a few twigs here and there, but not much was happening. It was gray, right, colorless. But as I started to feel more, maybe you can relate to this, um, the soil started to become more fertile and vibrant, and then plants started to grow, and flowers, and it just blossomed into something colorful and beautiful. And that's the way that I felt every day. It's such an amazing feeling.
Wow, it's a beautiful metaphor, because you're at the end of the day, you're nurturing your own self. You're planting, like, how do I say, you're taking care of your own self, like how you do plants. And then once you are well, once you start, taking care, and once you are in that position, you'll see things blossom, like flowers and what, like, your life is blossoming.
Your life and your
Your energy, you're much more vibrant, as you mentioned, much more vibrant, much more colorful. Yeah, and it's a fertile land. Oh, that's a nice metaphor. Yeah. Well, like, a beautiful journey, beautiful experience, beautiful sharing of what you do. Anything else that you want to provide before we close? That's something people, if they're still either, if I have to say, men who still feel, okay, I'm lost, but I don't feel like sharing. Like, sometimes you have to actually step up and take this decision and start doing things that probably would let you out of your comfort. I mean, I'm saying comfort because sometimes we find comfort in pain, because that, that is something you're already aware of. Because, oh, I know this space and I'm not ready to explore something. Maybe it would help me, but I'm still loving this pain, or if I was not loving, but that provides me comfort because that's known. I do not want to explore something is unknown, especially when I'm going through something again that brings shame, guilt, whatnot. And yeah.
So, I mean, it's a good question you asked. I will say one thing: it has to come from within you.
Yeah.
Okay. I cannot force you to do this. You
Yeah.
cannot force anyone who doesn't want to help themselves.
Yeah.
If you feel completely satisfied with your situation, one, I'll challenge that. But
Yeah.
second, I can't do anything for you.
Yeah.
You have to do it yourself, right? So that being said, it has to come from within. And comfort is a killer. You know, if you're stuck in loops of comfort, then as men we stagnate, and as men, especially everyone, but men specifically, want to create, want to build, want to advance, we want to move forward. We do not flourish when we're in stagnation. And stepping out of comfort is hard.
Yeah, it's hard. Yeah,
especially like getting out of your bed to go to the gym is hard. Sharing about something you've been holding in to a friend of yours is hard. But it's going to take those little steps of vulnerability, those little steps of stepping out of my comfort zone. Gradually, you step out, and you're going to expand your comfort zone. And that's just going to keep growing. And it's always, you almost never have to do really hard, really big steps, but just start small.
Yeah.
And build up from there.
One step at a time.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't have to, see your destination right now. It's just one step. What matters is you see the next step.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if I can say one other thing, or maybe one last thing, look to your fear as a signpost, as an indicator towards where you should be going.
Where you should be going. Okay? Nice.
Fear is a powerful ally, if you see it that way. There's something that really scares you, that terrifies you. Yeah. There's a good chance it's going to be really good for you. And there's a good chance that it's something that you deeply, deeply want, but you're too scared to do it.
Too scared to do it.
I say, look at your fear and go there.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Nice. And I always have this tradition of, asking, so what's one thing that you would want to change in your life, or probably have had in mind, but never got a chance to work? Could be a professional, personal, anything.
One thing that I would want to change in my life. Yeah. Well, this is something that you've seen already.
Yeah.
I got certified in Tantra.
Okay.
Last year, and I really love this, and I'm so passionate about it. And I'd love, a dream would be to be a Tantra teacher in Mexico.
Oh, wow. Okay. So maybe we'll have a Tantra episode. Oh, yeah. Perfect. Awesome. And I would like to thank you again for being on the show, being on this episode, sharing what you do. And also, I would like to thank you for holding the space, a container for men who are either going through something. And I would personally love to see more and more of these, across and just flourishing, so that who are like, as we already know, as we all know, that like there are groups, so many groups for women, but again, there's nothing for men. It's not that I am trying to distinguish, but it's just that there should be something also, because we men also have emotions.
Of course, and we men need each other's support.
Yes.
And that's a very powerful thing that I'm trying to bring more in the world.
And I thank you for that. Thank you. Thanks, Tahir. Thanks for being on the show.